Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hey everybody, Sean Adams here with the Heroic Voice Academy. Happy that you're joining us here for this live webinar. Today we have with us the CEO and founder of Heroic Voice, Anthony Lee, and he's going to go over a little bit about what Heroic Voice and Heroic Voice Academy are, and also how to find your heroic voice. So Anthony, take it away.
Thank you, Sean. So delighted to be here today, and we're going to go over exactly like Sean said. What is a heroic voice? How does it differ than a normal voice? And how do heroic voices make impact on the world? The way that we like to teach is we talk about presentation ROI. There's something about this particular question when I ask it to executives, or in fact, any leaders doing a presentation. What was the last ROI on your presentation? And I get one of two responses. One is a quizzical look. What do you mean? Or how do you measure it? So we'll be talking about that during our time here today, is giving presentations with the intent of generating money, support, or reputation for your organization. The way we teach is we always start with mindset. Most presenters, when they take the stage, have a mindset of, I'm going to go on stage, give my presentation, and be relieved when it's over. And we're inviting people to do it differently, because each presentation is a tremendous opportunity. I want to shift them from a let's just get it over with mindset to a business development mindset. So that means before entering into a presentation, into a conversation, or starting an interview, you would have specific things in mind. You would bring into the conversation a business development mindset. So what does the mindset include? Well, on the next slide, there's always three outcomes that are going to be available in your audience. The way you measure the success of a presentation or conversation are asking these three questions. How much money did I generate for my organization? The second one is, how much support did I generate? And the last one is, did I generate positive or up level my company's reputation? When you go back to your office and report to your boss, if you are the boss and you're reporting to your board of directors, you want to say that my conversations resulted in one of these three. Now let's drill down into a specific conversation. When you speak with a customer, a big client, they have the ability to generate a contract which brings your company revenue. When you're out there looking for people to invest in your company, you're looking for financial backing, also money. On the second line, you could be out there interacting and finding amazing team members that you can add to your engineering department, to your marketing department, to your communications department. And when you're giving a presentation, team members is something that you want to attract in terms of support. Other things that you'll want to attract in terms of a networking situation, people who want to partner with you, joint venture with you, sponsor you. And these are all people that want to contribute to the mission and the success of your company. Now the last line is, you'll have an opportunity to talk to journalists. You'll have an opportunity to speak to attendees of a conference. When done well with a business development mindset, you will have up-leveled the reputation of a company. So obviously reputation is key. It's key to short-term success. It's key to long-term sustainability. So these are the opportunities.
Really quick, Anthony, we have a question from Bob who wants to know, like, what about my current team? You're talking about getting new team members in, but what if there's some kind of issue or problem going on with the current team where the communication's not going that well? Is that something that's also applicable to what you're talking about here?
Yes, absolutely. So let's think about the categories. Support is the middle category. When things aren't going well, there essentially is a lack of support, whether it's support for funding an internal initiative, a lack of support in terms of effort being provided by the team. So support is something that is a ROI item internally. When a leader is able to speak with that business development mindset, they know that at the end of the day, I need my team on board. I need the finance department to back this project. I need my team members to be all in. So definitely these would apply for internal support as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Anthony.
All right. Now, we've talked about what success is, these ROI items of money, support, and reputation. We talked about opportunities. These are all the conversations and presentations that turn into money, support, and reputation. What's the missing piece? Preparation. So if we take a look at how we specifically prepare our clients, this slide says it all. The first thing is, how do we prepare for these presentations? We have this thing called the message portfolio, and we're training you for 5 specific presentations, 5 specific conversations. And when you are fluent at all 5, you would be able to bring this into any high-stakes speaking opportunity for the purpose of generating ROI. Just to briefly go over them, we use the acronym SPINE as to the types of presentations. 5 types of presentations are represented. So solution is a situation where you're wanting to present an idea or a strategy. If we look at P stands for possibility. You're presenting an idea. I stands for interview. You're presenting yourself. N stands for narration, where you're presenting a case study. And E stands for education, where you're presenting a methodology or a strategy. So an executive, a leader who has all 5 of these in their portfolio and can deliver it well, can be successful in any high-stakes opportunity. So that's the preparation piece. When you have a business development mindset, this is a situation that you're always prepared for, high stakes. Message. Now, in terms of message, what do I say? How do I even begin building a presentation? When we skip to the next slide, it's, for us, a very streamlined process. You start with a foundation for every presentation, every conversation, every interview has to include these 3 elements. Values. If you include values, you're telling the person in front of you the things that you care about. And then they will have a clear idea, okay, we care about the same things. When you share with someone your vision, then you give the other person a great idea of where you're going, what you're creating in the world. Is this a world that they want to be a part of or want to help create? And the last one is vows. Inside of your presentation, there has to be an element of you're all in. If the person in front of you loves the values that you're all about, your vision about the world you're creating, I want to know that if we team up, how are you going to show up every day? So that's the vows element. Great presentations, whether they're TED Talks, conference keynotes, interviews, will have all 3. So that's step 1. Start with a really good foundation. Step 2 is...
Anthony, before you go on, we have another question, which is, like, how do you go about identifying each of those 3 things? Is this something that do you offer a training on that? Like, how does somebody get clarity on what their values are, what their vision is? How do they get clarity on that?
That's a great question, Sean. The process is something we take very seriously. We don't start composing any presentations until these pieces are built. So in our 2-day workshop, we spend the entire morning of day 1 specifically putting you into experiential exercises to discover what are the values that are important to you. There's another exercise where you're asked to articulate to the entire class, what is your vision for the future? And lastly, a lot of people want to know, well, how do I convince people I'm the right person for the job? How do I convince people that I'm trustworthy? So we actually have a 3rd exercise that morning that allows you to prepare to articulate your vows. You're all in. And again, these are exercises that are not just reading exercises or writing exercises. It is doing exercises. You're intended to walk out of that morning with these 3 pieces ready to go, and the rest of the session, you're 100% ready to compose all 5 of those presentations.
Excellent. Thanks, Anthony.
All right, so once you have those 3, what's next? When we talk about the message portfolio, the end result is once you have a portfolio of 5 items, you can pick from any one of the 5 and insert it into a keynote, insert it into a training, insert it into a conversation with a potential new hire, investor, sponsor. So that's step 2. You carry on portfolio, fully rehearsed, picking the right one for your audience. And the last part is when it's done well. You have a good foundation, you've selected the right presentation. At the top, you will have generated money, support, or reputation. So this is what it looks like when it's all put together. And this is the format that we will be using in class for all 5 presentations.
So, Anthony, this seems kind of simple. Does this actually really work? Because it seems way too easy to understand.
Well, learning something is best when explained in simple concepts. So we are great teachers, and we want to make sure that items are taught sequentially, they're taught in the right amount. And when you break it down, an individual presentation that you see in the middle here is something that is very comprehensive. If we're talking about, let's say, a solution presentation, putting that together is something that has a lot of moving pieces. In addition to a lot of moving pieces, is how you deliver this is important as well. Now, we take care not to overload you. We're going to give you enough to put together the presentation, get it recorded on video, get a lot of feedback. But this is something where you leave with a first draft of all your presentations. The top presenters, and we'll show you some stories later, have a presentation that they've likely rehearsed 200 times. And in the course of that rehearsal, you'll learn a lot about messaging, you'll learn a lot about delivery styles, you'll learn about education. So yes, this is a very high level concept. And keep in mind that professionals, they make the simple look easy. And it's because they've put in the hours and hours and hours dedicated to learning and refining their craft.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, voice. We started with your presentation, and you develop these presentations with a business development mindset. Now let's talk about delivering. When you actually get in front of a stakeholder, when you get in front of the conference in your industry, premier conference in your industry, how you deliver the message now becomes critical. So there's a 3-part evaluation. Every time a student goes through our curriculum, we're going to be looking for 3 things: precision, emotion, and connection. And let's briefly describe what it is. In terms of precision, I'm going to always start with what it isn't. So precision is someone who goes over time, or lack of precision. So when you don't have precision, you go over time. You are wandering all over the place. You're bringing in information that's not relevant to the central topic. Whereas when you have precision, you're using an economy of words. You're able to make your entire presentation under the time allotted. And the audience, they get what you're talking about. They learn. You've put together the material so precisely that it lands with everyone in the room and give them the experience of, I got it. Emotion. Now, this is something where it's a new topic for a lot of presenters, is adding emotion to not only the way you present, but also getting the audience to feel an emotion, to care about the topic. Okay. And the last one is connection. So there's there's experiences. I've attended conferences, I'm sure all of you have attended conferences, where the presenter on stage is talking at us, okay? And if that's the case, there's no connection. There's an experience when I see a presenter half-assing it. They're reading their slides. They don't really care about their slides. And what it ends up with is people walking out of the room. And a good one is a presenter knows his or her audience. They're speaking with the audience. The audience is connected to whatever's on the screen. And these are the 3 specific things we look out for every time you run through a presentation. Because what we're aiming towards is when you speak with precision, you've created a learning experience for the audience. When you speak with emotion, you've created a caring experience in the audience. And the final thing is when you've created the experience of connecting, the audience is connected to you, they're connected to your message, and in the intersection, in that red, what happens? Money, support, and reputation gets generated. So as you're doing presentations, we're going to have you go through run-throughs in our workshop, also in our coaching programs. And this is an example of how we'll grade your presentations. How well did you do in precision, scale of 1 to 10, and specific notes about it? How well did you create that learning experience in emotion, another score of 1 to 10? And then how well did you create the experience of connection? When you have high scores in each, likely we want you to end up in that red spot, and because that's where money, support, and reputation are available. So we've talked about composing presentations. We talked about delivering presentations. And at Heroic Voice Academy, we do things quite different. When there are organizations that help you do presentation training. So when you're just starting out, we recommend Toastmasters. It's a great place to start in terms of getting in front of an audience, putting together simple presentations. If you're in a situation where you have this one big presentation per year, there's other organizations that can help you with that. The Heroic Voice Academy, we're treating this very, very differently. We're treating this like a professional sport, like a professional musician. These are professionals, leaders, who dedicate time to practice. Okay, that means I'm giving presentations all the time. Money, support, reputation are always on the line. I'm seeking these out and I'm succeeding in all of these situations. So if you are a leader that wants to generate money, support, reputation in every situation, we invite you to join us. And let's talk about what these leaders look like, because they're unusual now and they're going to be commonplace very, very soon. We talked about what happens when you prepare like a professional. What are the possible futures that are available when I step on stage completely prepared? And I'm going to share with you 3 stories. The first one, we have a superstar here. Her name is Julie Castle. She's one of the founders of an organization called the Best Friends Animal Society. Now, it's one of the largest nonprofits in the country, and in order to be a successful nonprofit, it needs to be funded by money. One of the big things she did was she worked with us and she prepared tons and tons and tons of rehearsals so that she would be able to present at a TEDx event. Now, these TED events, they give you lots and lots of exposure. She was able to communicate stories from her organization, communicate the plight of animals in shelters, and communicate the vision that she has for a different future. Because she treated this like a profession and spoke on TEDx, she now speaks pretty much all over the world and bringing her mission one step closer. And money made that happen. On the next slide, let's talk about support. If you're needing support in a particular area, Orlando is a great example of this. So Orlando is a wheelchair basketball player. basketball in the NBA is very well funded. Basketball, when played from wheelchairs, is not very well funded. So this sport, these players depend on the support of sponsors, of audience members who get intrigued about the sport. So Orlando worked with us in order to create what's known as his signature presentation. He and his team, they present to, in this case, it was the Napa Film Festival. They also present at universities. They present at events such as the No Barrier Summit. And in doing so, he is generating sponsorships for the sport. He's generating new coaches for the sport. He's generating players who have been curious about the sport to say yes to participating in the sport. The last one here is reputation. We have one of our students, Bea Voce, who trained with us, did over 200 run-throughs for the purpose of getting ready for a TEDx. Because of her diligence, she was able to generate over 2.6 million views from this one presentation. And this one presentation elevated her reputation, leading to other things like TV shows, coaching contracts. So think about your world. Think about situations where you're needing to generate money, support, or reputation. What preparation would you need to do? And my invitation to you is, as we look forward to all the workshops that we have scheduled, I invite you to come and prepare with us. Get your practice with us. We have a workshop called Be Heroic Now, and it's a 2-day workshop. I mentioned it earlier, and it's not just a workshop where you're reading some material, you're writing some material. In our workshop, you're doing some pretty comprehensive and deep work. If we talk about the first thing is the message blueprint that we saw earlier. There was a question earlier, well, how do we create these value vision vows? And an entire morning is dedicated to discovering what those are for you. The second one is building presentations. Our intent is to have you very, very fluent in what these are and to come out with 5 first draft presentations. The next one is delivery. You're gonna have lots and lots and lots of practice runs in front of your students, in front of the instructors, specifically so that we can give you feedback on precision, emotion, and connection. Because we do want you to end up in that sweet spot in the middle. And then role-playing. We're gonna put you in a lot of role-playing situations where we're going to have you practice speaking with an investor, a potential client, and journalists, just to get you very, very practiced and skilled at integrating all of our curriculum into these high-stakes speaking opportunities. And the final thing here is communicating in order to get people on your team, people to work for you, people to support you, people to sponsor you. So those are the major items in the 2-day workshop. We are having several on the calendar this year, and I would invite you to register at heroicvoiceacademy.com. So let's check in with our hosts. Are there any questions?
Yeah, so what if somebody has a talk coming up, something major that's coming up for them that is going to happen either prior to or too close to one of the 2 days that they want to get prepared quicker? Is that something that's available to folks?
Absolutely. We have these things in the form of one-on-one coaching intensives. And this is typically something that we handle very, very well. In the case of the third example, Bea Voce, she came to us with about 3 weeks prior to her stage time. And in the span of those 3 weeks, we were able to essentially do everyday coaching to produce a final product. So that is a container for someone with a high-stakes presentation that's right around the corner.
And from your experience coming to these events, is it better for me to come just by myself, or do I want to bring members of my team?
I love when teams show up. There's something that happens inside the classroom that they take back to their place of work. There is a common vocabulary that now they're able to use. Speaking about value, vision, vows is not just a theoretical thing anymore. It is a actual thing that lives in the culture of a company. So there is an opportunity to bring your teammates. Definitely bring them. It'll not just make you a better speaker, your entire team will become better speakers.
Is there anything else I should know about Heroic Voice, about the 2-day events, about one-to-one coaching before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'd say have these questions in mind. Number one, who is the audience you're speaking to? Okay. Think about who they are and specific identify. If you were to look up into that audience, what is that audience able to provide to you? Is it money? Is it support? Or is it reputation? So once you've identified an audience, once you identified the potential resources available, your job now is to prepare. And the best way to prepare is just contact us. Let us find a workshop for you, or let us find a coaching situation where we can help you in your business.
Excellent. Thank you, Anthony, for your time today and giving us an overview of everything that you do and how to effectively communicate, both internally and externally. Any other last comments?
Our favorite saying is, unleash your heroic voice.
Excellent. You've done that well today, Anthony. I appreciate it. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Audio Jungle.